Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I am bringing to you a pre-release event for Strixhaven. We have our two pre-release kits previously built here, a Lorehold deck here and a Quandrix deck there. And if you check the links in the description box below, you can see the openings of the packs and the buildings of those decks. Per standard sealed deck rules, we're going to be facing these two decks up against each other in a best of 3 battle with possible sideboarding in between. We'll go ahead and get started by rolling to see who goes first. Lorehold rolls a 7. Quandrix rolls a 3. Lorehold opts to go first. They draw a mountain, a Blood Age General, a Plains, a mountain, a Flame Scroll Celebrant, and a God's Willing. It's not an amazing hand, but I think it's a keepable one, so we'll do so. Quandrix draws a Burying Books, Island, Waterfall, Aerialist, Forest, Swamp, Needlethorn Drake, and Forest. I think this is an acceptable keep. Not ideal, but workable. Lorehold would begin by playing a Plains, and we'll pass the turn. Quandrix draws a Forest. We'll play a Forest, and we'll pass the turn. Lorehold draws a Mountain. We'll play the Mountain. We'll tap 2 mana, and we'll play the Flame Scroll Celebrant. This is a 2/1 human shaman, and whenever an opponent activates an ability that isn't a mana ability, it deals 1 damage to that player. You can pay 1 in a red to give it +2/+0 until end of turn. There's a backside to this, but we do not need to use it. And then Lorehold will pass the turn. Quandrix draws a Forest. We'll play an Island. We'll tap both, and we'll cast a Needlethorn Drake. This is a 1/1 Drake with Flying and Death Touch, and then Quandrix will pass the turn. Lorehold then taps. Draws an Illustrious Historian. We'll play a Mountain, and then we'll attack with the Flame Scroll Celebrant. This seems as good a block as any, so Quandrix will offer the block. Lorehold will tap the Plains and cast God's Willing. This is an instant. Target creature you could control gains protection from color of your choice until end of turn. We will choose green. This means the Flame Scroll Celebrant takes no damage from the Needlethorn Drake, and the Drake will die. The Drake dies. Lorehold will tap 2 more mana and cast the Illustrious Historian. This is a 2/1 human shaman. You can pay 5 and exile it from your graveyard to create a tapped 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. And then Lorehold will pass the turn. Quandrix untaps, draws, gets a Divide by 0. Quandrix will play the Swamp. Then we'll hold up mana for Buried Books and Divide by 0, and we'll pass the turn. Lorehold untaps, draws a Lorehold Pledge Mage, play a Mountain. And then we go to combat and swing with both creatures. Quandrix has no blocks. And before damage, Quandrix will spend 3 mana and cast Burying Books, targeting the Flame Scroll Celebrant. This is an instant. It says it costs 2 less to cast if it targets an attacking creature. Put the target creature into its owner's library second from top. The Celebrant will go into the library second from top. Quandrix takes 2 damage, it goes to 18. Lorehold follows up by tapping 3 mana and casting the Lorehold Pledge Mage. This is a 2/2 core shaman with First Strike and Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. And then Lorehold will pass the turn. Quandrix untaps, draws an Arcane Subtraction. We'll play a Forest. We'll tap 4 mana and cast the Waterfall Aerialist. This is a 3/1 Djinn Wizard with Flying and Ward 2. And then Quandrix will pass the turn. Lorehold untaps, draws a Mountain. We'll play a Mountain. We'll go to combat and swing with both of these. Quandrix will decline to block, and we'll take 4 to go down to 14. We have an answer with the Arcane Subtraction and a potential trade, so we'll wait for that. Lorehold will spend 2 more mana and cast the Blood Age General. This is a 2/2 Spirit Warrior, and you can tap it to give attacking spirits +1/+0 until end of turn. Then Lorehold will pass the turn. Quandrix untaps, draws a Witherbloom Campus. We only have 1 blue source, so there's no point in playing a Forest when we can get a tap land out of our hand. So we'll play the Witherbloom Campus. It's a land, enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it for black or green, and you can pay 4 and tap it to scry 1. We'll stay on defense using the Arcane Subtraction to defeat a creature, and we'll pass the turn. Lorehold then taps, draws the Flame Scroll Celebrant. We'll go to combat and we'll swing with the 3 creatures. Quandrix will block the Pledge Mage with the Waterfall Aerialist, and then we'll tap 2 mana, the Island and the Swamp, to cast Arcane Subtraction. This is an instant. Target creature gets -4/-0 until end of turn and learn. This will target the Lorehold Pledge Mage, which becomes a -2/2. We'll learn. We'll draw a fractal summoning to our hand. The Pledge Mage dies. Quandrix takes 4 more damage and goes to 10. Lorehold will follow up by tapping 2 mountains and casting a Flame Scroll Celebrant again. And then Lorehold will pass a turn. Quandrix untaps. Draws an island. We'll play the second island. Now I think we can play Big Enough Blocker, so we'll swing with the Waterfall Aerialist for 3. Lorehold will take 3 and go to 17. And then we will tap out, cast Fractal Summoning. This is a sorcery lesson. You can create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token, put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X equals 4. Here's our fractal and our 4 counters, making it a 4/4. And then Quandrix will pass the turn. Lorehold untaps, draws a Heated Debate. We'll play the mountain, and then we'll spend 3 mana to cast Heated Debate. This is an instant. It can't be countered, and it deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. We'll target the fractal. The fractal dies. Lorehold swings with the team, and then because Quandrix has no blocks, we'll spend 2 mana to pump the Celebrant +2/+0, dealing 8 damage. Quandrix goes down to 2, and Lorehold will pass the turn. Quandrix untaps, draws a Decisive Denial. We'll play a forest. We'll spend 3 mana and cast Divide by 0. It's an instant. It says return target spell or permanent with mana value 1 or greater to its owner's hand, and then learn. We'll return the Flame Scroll Celebrant to Lorehold's hand. We'll draw another Fractal Summoning. Flame Scroll Celebrant returns. Then we'll spend 4 mana and cast Fractal Summoning again, getting a 2/2 Fractal. And then Quandrix will pass the turn. Lorehold then taps, draws a First Day of Class. We'll spend 2 mana to cast First Day of Class. This is an instant. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it gains haste until end of turn, and then learn. We'll learn Spirit Summoning, and then we'll spend 2 more mana to cast a Flame Scroll Celebrant. It's going to get a +1/+1 counter and have haste, and then we'll swing with the team. Quandrix will block the Celebrant with the Aerialist and the General with the Fractal. We'll take 2 from the Historian and will perish. And Lorehold takes game 1. We'll be back for game 2. Neither deck will be sideboarding because they don't really have any particular answers to what we've seen. And Quandrix lost the first game by running out of steam at the end, and so Quandrix will go first on the second game. Quandrix draws a Devouring Tendrils, Island, Professor of Zoomancy, Needlethorn Drake, Forest Needlethorn Drake, and Burying Books. We're a little short on lands, but I think being able to hold these Needlethorn Drakes and Devouring Tendrils will be able to block and answer things for a bit until we can draw out of this, so Quandrix will keep. Lorehold draws a Beaming Defiance, Show of Confidence, Shock, Pillar Rot Rescuer, Lorehold Pledge Mage, and Plains. We can't really keep a one-lander, so we're going to mulligan this. Now we draw a Stormkiln Artist, Mountain, Blood Age General, Illustrious Historian, Make Your Mark, God's Willing, and Mountain. It's not a great hand because we don't have any Plains, but because most of our cards are red, I think we can still keep this, even though it is a very risky one to do so. We will take the God's Willing and stick this in the deck. Quandrix will open with the Forest and pass the turn. Lorehold draws a Pillar Rot Rescuer. We'll play a Mountain and we'll pass the turn. Quandrix draws an Island. We'll play the Island. We'll tap both and we'll cast a Needlethorn Drake, and then we'll pass the turn. Lorehold draws a Biblioplex Assistant, and we'll play another Mountain. We'll tap both of these and cast an Illustrious Historian. Then we'll pass the turn. Quandrix untaps, draws a Field Trip. We'll play an Island, and I'm trying to decide if I want to attack or not. If I attack, then I'm going to get hit for 2, which is not very good. I think trading the Drake for the Historian is not great because the Historian can come out of the graveyard and get some value. I think we take 2 for at least 1 turn, so we'll go ahead and attack the Needlethorn Drake. Lorehold takes 1 and goes to 19. Then to be mana efficient, we'll tap 3 and we'll cast Field Trip. This is a sorcery. Search your library for a basic forest card, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle, then learn. Here's our Forest. Shuffle. We'll grab a Fractal Summoning in our hand, and then Quandrix will pass a turn. Lorehold untaps, draws a Thunderous Orator. This is bad news. We're going to go ahead and swing with the Illustrious Historian for 2 while the lane is open. Quandrix takes 2 and goes to 18. Lorehold will follow up with another Blood Age General, and then Lorehold will pass the turn. Quandrix untaps, Draws a forest. We'll play the forest. We have 5 mana, and if we play a 3/3, we can block everything. So that's probably worth it here. We'll go ahead and attack with a Needlethorn Drake for 1. Lorehold takes 1, it goes to 18. Then Quandrix will tap out and cast Fractal Summoning for 3, which creates a 3/3 Fractal, and then Quandrix will pass a turn. Lorehold then taps, draws a mountain. We'll play the mountain. We cannot cast anything except Make Your Mark, so I think we're gonna risk this here. We'll attack with the Illustrious Historian. Quandrix suspects a trick, so we're gonna hold, and we will take 2 to go to 16. And then Lorehold has nothing else to do, so we will pass the turn. Quandrix untaps, draws a swamp. We'll play the swamp. We have 6 mana, so I think we can just start playing it all out. We'll spend 4 mana to cast Professor of Zoomancy. This is a 4/3 bear druid, and when it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token with when this creature dies, you gain 1 life. Here's our pest. And then we'll spend 2 more mana to cast Devouring Tendrils. This is a sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. When this permanent you don't control dies this turn, you gain 2 life. We'll deal 4 damage to the Blood-Age General from the Professor of Zoomancy. In an effort to be able to do something, Lorehold will tap the mountain and cast Make Your Mark. This is an instant. Target creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. When that creature dies this turn, create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. Blood-Age General will die. Get a spirit token. And Quandrix will attack with a Needlethorn Drake for 1. Lorehold goes to 17. And Quandrix will pass the turn. Lorehold then taps. Draws an Eager First Year. Again, we're not in a great position here. All we can do is stay on the defense, so that's what we'll do. And Lorehold will pass the turn. Quandrix then taps. Draws a Mentor's Guidance. I think at this point it's okay just to attack with everything that we can. So we'll spend 5 mana and cast Bury in Books, targeting the spirit. The spirit vanishes. Then we'll go to combat and swing with the Fractal, the Needle Drake, and the Professor of Zoomancy. We can take 1 big hit, so we'll take 8 and go to 9. Quandrix will pass the turn. Lorehold draws, gets a Return Pass color. We are still without the ability to cast anything, so we'll pass the turn. Quandrix then taps. Draws a Waterfall Aerialist. See if we can finish them off this turn. If we can get rid of their Historian, that could work. So we'll spend 3 mana and cast Mentor's Guidance. This is a sorcery. When you cast the spell, copy it if you control Planeswalker, Cleric, Druid, Shaman, Warlock, or Wizard. Scry 1, then draw a card. We do control 1 Druid. So we have 2 of Mentor's Guidance on the stack. We'll scry 1, which is a Biomathematician. We don't need anything of this caliber. We want to remove my opponent's 1 creature while we can. So we'll put this on the bottom. And then we draw an island. Then we'll scry again, which is a Frost Trickster. This is exactly what we want, so we'll keep that on top and draw it. And then we'll spend 3 mana and cast the Frost Trickster. This is a 2/2 bird wizard with flying, and when it enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls. That creature doesn't untap during that controller's next untap step. We choose a Historian. The Historian is frozen. And then Quandrix attacks with the whole team for lethal. And having been poorly mana screwed, Lorehold collapses. Alright, we'll be back for game 3 soon. Lorehold chooses to go first for game 3. You draw a Stonebound Mentor, Mountain, Quintorius Field Historian, Plains, Return Pass Caller, Plains, and Blood-Age General. This is probably the best opening hand we've drawn so far, so we'll keep it. Quandrix draws a Forest, Swamp, Ingenious Mastery, Island, Needlethorn Drake, Frost Trickster, and Needlethorn Drake. The team of Needlethorn Drakes continue to make this a reasonable keep, so we'll do so. Lorehold opens with Plains and passes the turn. Quandrix draws, gets a Quandrix Campus. We'll play that first. This is a land. It enters battlefield tapped. You can tap for green or blue, and you can pay 4, tap it to scry 1, and Quandrix will pass the turn. Lorehold draws an Illustrious Historian. We'll play a Mountain, and we'll tap 2 mana, and we'll go ahead and play the Illustrious Historian. Then we'll pass the turn. Quandrix then taps, draws a Island. We'll go ahead and play an Island. We'll tap both of these and cast a Needlethorn Drake. And then we'll pass the turn. Lorehold untaps, draws a Beaming Defiance. We'll go ahead and play another Plains. I think that the trade here is worthwhile, so we'll attack the Illustrious Historian. Quandrix thinks this will be a bad deal, so we'll take 2 and go to 18. Follow up by tapping 3, and we'll cast the Stonebound Mentor. This is a 3/3 Spirit Advisor. Whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, scry 1, and then we'll pass the turn. Quandrix untaps, draws an Island. We'll play a Forest. We'll swing with 1 Needlethorn Drake for 1. Lower hold goes to 19. We'll spend 2 mana and cast another Needlethorn Drake as a block for the Stonebound Mentor, and then we'll pass the turn. Lower hold then taps. Draws a Plains. We'll play the Plains. We'll go to combat and attack with just the Illustrious Historian. Still not a great block for a Quandrix, so we'll take 2 and go to 16. Lower hold follows up by tapping 2 and casting a Blood Age General, and then Lower hold will pass the turn. Quandrix untaps. Draws a Sedgemoor Witch. We'll play the Swamp. We have plenty of defense. I think we just want to keep that Historian from swinging, so we'll spend 3 mana. Cast a Frost Trickster. We'll tap down the Historian. It's already tapped, but it won't untap the next turn. And then we are going to hold on attacks here, pass the turn. Lower hold then taps. This is now able to untap. We draw a Biblioplex Assistant. We don't have good attacks because of those Death Touchers. Don't really have anything good going on here, unfortunately. We can play the 2/1 blocker in the air. I guess that's what we're doing, and ignoring its value. Sure. Here we go. Play the Biblioplex Assistant. It's a 2/1 artifact gargoyle with flying, and when it enters the battlefield, put up to 1 target instant or sorcery from your graveyard on top of your library. We don't have any, so we'll pass. Quandrix untaps. Draws a Swamp. We'll play an Island. I think we just stay defensive here. There's no reason to attack. And we'll spend 3 mana. Cast a Sedgemoor Witch. This is a 3/2 human warlock with Menace. Ward, pay 3 life, and Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token with when this creature dies, you gain 1 life. Then we'll be able to Ingenious Mastery next turn. It gets a value, but we'll just hold the fort while we're here and pass the turn. Lower hold then taps. Draws an Academic Dispute. I think we can force the Witch to block, which will get us some value. So I think that's what we're going to do this turn. We'll pay 1 mana and cast Academic Dispute. This is an instant. It says target creature blocks this turn if able. You may have a gain reach until end of turn, and you can learn. Target the Sedgemoor Witch to make it block this turn if able. We'll take a Spirit Summoning into our hand, and then we'll attack with the Illustrious Historian. Fortunately, we don't have anything to defend against this, so the Sedgemoor Witch will trade with the Historian. Historian goes down, and then we'll spend 3 mana, and we'll cast Spirit Summoning, and then Lower hold will pass the turn. Quandrix untaps. Draws a Decisive Denial. We'll go ahead and play another Island here. I think that 6 mana is a good enough place to start, so we'll tap 6 mana and cast Ingenious Mastery. If it's a sorcery, you may pay 2 and a blue rather than pay the spell's mana cost. If the 2 and a blue cost was paid, you draw 3 cards, and then our opponent creates 2 treasure tokens and they scry 2. If that cost wasn't paid, you draw X cards. We'll draw 3. We draw an Island, a Biomathematician, and a Forest. We don't have anything we can really do right now. I think we stay on the defense and pass the turn. Lower hold then taps. Draws a Plains. Play this. Go ahead and spend 5 here. And we'll cast Quintorius Field Historian. This is a 2/4 Legendary Elephant Cleric with Spirits to control. Get +1/+0. Whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 3/2 red and white Spirit creature token. And then I think this is fine for attacking for some value here, because we definitely are ahead on the creature count here. So we'll attack with the General and the Spirit, are a 4/2 and a 3/2 respectively. Quandrix will block the Spirit with the Frost Trickster, and the General with a Drake. They'll trade. Then Lower hold will pass the turn. Quandrix untaps. Draws an Island. We'll play a Forest. We'll spend 3 mana and cast a Biomathematician. This is a 2/2 human wizard. When it enters the battlefield, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Put a +1/+1 counter on it for each fractal you control. It is a 1/1. I think we need to keep our creatures back for defense here, so we will pass the turn. Lower hold then taps. Draws a Thunderous Orator. Still don't have that great of attacks because of the 1/1 Flying Death Touch. I think we can trade the Biblioplex Assistant for it if they want to make that trade. So go ahead and attack with the Assistant. I think we need to take this hit because we need better resources against the bigger creatures that my opponent has. So we'll take 2 and go to 14. Lower hold follows up by paying 2 and casting the Thunderous Orator. This is a 2/2 core wizard with vigilance. When it attacks, it gains flying until end of turn if you control a creature with flying. The same is true for first strike, double strike, death touch, indestructible, lifelink, menace, and trample. And then lower hold will pass the turn. Quandrix untaps. draws a forest. We're flooding a bit here. We'll play an island, and I think we continue to stay on defense here, and we'll pass a turn. Lord Hold untaps. Draws a mountain. We'll play the mountain. Then we'll go to combat, and we'll swing with the Biblioplex Assistant and the Thunderous Orator. The Thunderous Orator gains flying. And here, Quandrix will block the Orator with the Needlethorn Drake. They'll trade. Drake dies. And then Lorehold will tap 6 and cast the Returned Past Caller. This is a 4/2 Spirit Cleric with flying, and when it enters the battlefield, return target spirit, instant, or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. We'll grab the Blood Age General and put that back in my hand. This will trigger Quintorius and the Stonebound Mentor. We'll scry 1, which is Lorehold Campus. We're good on land, so we'll put that on the bottom. We also create a spirit, and then we'll pass the turn. Quandrix draws, gets an island. Continuing to flood, we'll play the forest. I think we are continuing to be on defense, and we might have to do a self-sacrificial decisive denial. We'll see what happens. We'll pass the turn. Lorehold untaps. Draws a mountain. Sensing the quagmire that Quandrix has found itself in, we're just going to attack with everybody. We have to prevent the most damage possible. So we're going to block the spirit with the Biomathematician to stop more damage from coming through. I think we can take a big hit, and so this is reasonable to stop here. And then we're going to spend 2 mana and cast Decisive Denial. This is an instant. It says choose one. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control, or counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 3. Obviously, there's nothing to counter on the stack, and so we will use the fight ability to have the Biomathematician fight the Returned Past Caller after blocks are declared. They'll trade. That's still 7 damage being served to Quandrix, going down to 7. And then Lorehold will spend 2 and cast the Blood Age General, and Lorehold will pass the turn. Quandrix untaps. Draws a Burying Books. This is not the miracle that we need, but it may give us another turn. We'll play another island, and then we'll pass the turn. Lorehold untaps. Draws a Plains. We'll play the Plains, and then we'll again swing with the whole team. We'll chump the Fractal on the Spirit token, and we'll spend 3 mana to cast Burying Books, targeting the Quintorius. Quintorius is put second on the top. That is still 7 damage going through, and so Lorehold will defeat the flooded Quandrix. Best of 3, 2-1. I think that a lot of these games were decided by mana, unfortunately, but that is an example of the pre-release kits going at it with each other. Let me know what you thought about the games in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of my videos, you can hit subscribe. This was Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.